Okay, it's 7:30. The December meeting of the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers Club is now in session. Welcome everybody to our December meeting. Okay, first off, we'll start with our reports. I will ask our Vice President to present the schedule. Okay, Vice President, I will do that.
Very good.
Share screen, calendar, share. Okay, here's the calendar for this month. Here we are, club meeting. Tomorrow night is Corn Watch at Cornland. Now, we do not have Night Watch this month, but we scheduled Sky Watch in its place. So Saturday, the 4th, is Sky Watch at Northwest River Park. Following Friday, the 10th, is Corn Watch. And it looks like, again, Market Shops was canceled. I hadn't heard that. I'll have to check into that. But don't forget our BBAA luncheon on Saturday, the 11th, from noon to about 3 at Striper's Restaurant in Norfolk. Excellent restaurant, excellent view of the harbor, nice window walls, and good food. You can order off the menu. That's our anniversary luncheon, commemorating 43 years of the club's existence. Hey, I found my other mask. I knew I had. Stripers? It's Stripers. Okay, and then on the 18th is Saturday, Sunday. And the reason we had to reschedule Sky Watch and Night Watch is because following Saturday is Christmas Day. And I don't think anybody's going to be coming out to any of our events on Christmas Day. Okay, the following month, January, Saturday the 1st, of course, is New Year's Day. Nothing, we're not going to be doing anything there. Our club meeting is the first Thursday in January, which is the 6th. Saturday, Sunday is the 15th of January. Sky Watch is the 22nd of January. Corn Watch is the 21st. Night Watch at Chipokes is the 29th. And I think Corn Watch is rescheduled for the 28th, but I don't see it on there. So that takes you through this month and next month. Not a whole lot on the calendar right now.
George, probably not at TCC on the 6th.
Right. We will have to find an alternate location for the meeting on the 6th of January, but we've got a month to plan that out, and we'll let everybody know by Facebook and email and Pony Express and anything else that is necessary. Any questions on the calendar? Any questions from Zoom land? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Okay, I see Paul Tarvini has joined us, and so has Bob Berline, Jonathan, and Roland. Good. Sign right there. Okay. Do we have a secretary's report? Secretary?
Yeah, here. First thing on the secretary's report was the calendar you just went over. Last month, a motion was made to dispense with the reading of the minutes.
Cool. Make that motion again.
Okay.
I object, Your Honor.
Do we have a second?
No second.
No second.
Oh, okay.
You have to read the minutes.
All right. So after the secretary's report last week, we had a scholarship report. We didn't have anything to report last month's meeting. After that was the treasurer's report. I believe the treasurer's report is going to be the same, probably this time around. Richard Roberts he's here, so he can continue on with that. Triple RT report, nothing to report, but the telescope was up and running. Old business, there was nothing to report. The new business was the Georgia June Scholarship Raffle, was pushed back to March of 2022. We'll probably be discussing that in this meeting. Is that correct?
Well, Sean has some information on that. He was going to join us by Zoom. I haven't seen him sign in yet.
Okay. Well, anyway, last we saw, I believe we were debating to have $10 tickets for the raffle. I gave a report about the Kalamazoo Astronomy Society that's given a lecture series into the introduction to amateur astronomy. I took that course last year. I believe it's a 6-week course on Saturday, given by Zoom. It's totally free. You just have to register. Just to get the PowerPoint slides, it's worth it because they're excellent material.
Where do you register?
And that's Kalamazoo Astronomical Society. Just go to ksaonline.org. And then we went into observation reports, and I'm not going to reiterate those.
Okay.
And then we had club elections. And Richard Roberts is going to be the treasurer next year. Samantha Erb is going to be the VP. And Rachel Perry has volunteered to be the newsletter editor. And a meeting adjourned at 8:48.
Okay. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Do I have a motion that the minutes be approved as read? Second? It's been second.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes approved. Okay. We're supposed to do Robert's Rules of Order. I don't think we've ever done it.
I read it once.
Okay, the next report is the treasurer's report. Rich, it's all yours.
All right, let me share. Nice. All right, total. We have money. We've been pretty much bringing in a little bit more than we've been spending, which is a good thing. No major expenses. We are still climbing up with members. We've been getting 5-6 new members every month since this year. Like, we haven't had an off month. So we're at 170 total members on the roster as we sit now. That, of course, means one of the things I'm going to have to do this weekend is start sending out the dues renewal notices, because it's that time of year I got to hit you up for money. And so those, just be ready to see them and pay your $23, and then we can just roll on into next year. Scholarship funds haven't changed much. You know, like I said, we're going to talk about the raffle for Georgie June scholarship. Also expecting a good chunk of money. I had to send some forms over to the city of Virginia Beach for boardwalk astronomy. We're supposed to get $750 out of them for the couple that we did, but we have not received those funds yet. I deal with the city on a professional basis from time to time. Their bureaucracy is worse than, I also work with the federal government a lot. In Virginia Beach, city of Virginia Beach's bureaucracy is worse than the federal government's. So we'll probably see some money eventually, but who knows, or when that hits. I don't have anything else unless anyone has specific questions of me, which I'm sure I'll deflect. Like, you know,
Jeff Goldstein has a question.
I got a question. November only has 30 days.
The statement or question? Objection.
No.
There's always one.
Says Treasury data
So,
through.
how do you know you're not missing one? How do you know you're not missing a day?
My question, how can there be 31 days?
There you go.
Yeah.
You know how because actually I did this on I did this on December 1st. So that should actually be December 1st. That's why we need Julian dates. I'm an astronomer, man. I deal in days.
Yeah, we should be using universal time too, right?
Why not? Hell yeah.
Okay, any questions on
Is that the
the,
Greenwich Mean Date?
any questions on the treasurer's report?
Good job, Richard.
Do I have a motion that the treasurer's report be accepted?
I have no choice but accept it. What are you going to do if you don't accept it?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, do we have a report from the scholarship committee?
No, sir.
Okay, there's
We're awaiting funds.
we're waiting for the funds to come in.
Final Let's see if we get close.
And when do you start sending out letters?
February.
February. Okay, so we have a couple months to go. All right. Any report on the RRRT, the
Do we have any
Royal
new
Rangers?
members? I'm sorry, George. Do we have any new members here tonight?
Pardon me?
Do we have any new members?
New members.
New members on the Zoom or whatever? So I could review the scholarship in case it's worth.
We have a couple people in the room here that might not know. We don't have any on Zoom.
New members here tonight? Okay, they're all solving. Okay, so great. So in case you don't know, that every year for our size clubs, amazing that we give two significantly large scholarships. And historically, they've been around $1,500, $1,000, range between two different scholarships: the Back Bay Amateur Astronomer Scholarship and the Georgia June Memorial Scholarship, which because she was a amazing member of our club and gave so much back to us, but she passed away about this early, unfortunately, because of the challenge. The Back Bay Amateur Astronomers is a nonprofit 501(c)(3), so any contribution towards the club or the scholarship you can write off on your taxes. So whether it be personal or your corporate or your employer, they typically like those kind of things. So I would encourage you to support the club, and we do amazing stuff. For 100 and some odd members to give out nearly $1,500 every year for several years. It's an amazing amount of money that goes out to worthy students. So that's what the scholarship's all about. And the checks really go to them and they get to apply to their schools, their expenses, their tuition. So there you go. Well, thanks for talking.
Okay.
One plug I'll say in there, one easy way to do if you want to give a little bit each month, like Eddie Paris does this, where he has it set up in PayPal. So the 18th of every month, $10 just goes into our PayPal account for the scholarship. If a couple of people did that, we could really have them funded. It's not a lot, just a small amount every month, but it adds up over the years and we get more people signed up just to do that recurrence. A lot of times we get, when we say, hey, we need money for scholarship, a lot of people just put in a lot of money all at once, but we could probably get it pretty sustainable if more people just signed up for small amounts each month and just have it automatically do recurrence like Eddie does.
Yes, it would
Thank you, Eddie.
add up quickly. Okay. Are there any reports that Astronomical League Coordinator? Do we have any reports from the AL?
I know you went double. Now that you're here.
So all I would offer is, in the past, what we've done is send, so say you're doing the Messier program pin, and in the past, we sent reports directly, to the AL coordinator, and then I would send them on to somebody else. However, for several members over the past year and a half, I don't want to be a bureaucracy. I don't want to be the middleman. People in here are generally professionals. They know what they're doing and they know how to log things that they've seen in a telescope. So what I would encourage you to do is just forward them directly to the coordinator on the AL side. I'm happy to, guide you to where that is. Anyway, I don't want to delay getting more people in the reflector in the back to get pins. So I would encourage you, if your drawings and your logs are really that bad, the coordinator will probably neg you. But if there were young members of the club, then I would review it. But I think everybody in here knows how to log things.
Okay.
And I've also started the log of the cluster program. So that was pretty sad that the AL coordinator is not working on the pin. So now I am.
Ben.
Since we have new members, can he explain a little bit about the program?
Okay, all right. So the Astronomical League is a nationwide organization of all astronomy clubs throughout the United States. It actually is probably upwards of, I think, 80,000 members now. So over the past year and a half, the number of people that have joined has literally been astronomical. So yeah, well,
No pun intended.
I got to outdo George, so it's not possible. So, but every year there is a large convention. Last year's was virtual. We presented a nice door prize of a copy of Vernon's Celestial Handbook, which somebody won, and I sent it to them. And also, as part of your membership, you receive Reflector magazine, which is actually a very well-written, fairly scientific, technical publication.
Quarterly.
And you'll get it 4 times a year, quarterly. So the Astronomical League is been around for 40 years now. So actually even longer than that. Anyway, so I'm sorry, 75 years. I'm mixing up my clubs here, sorry. So because we've been here 43 years. They've been around 75 years. So you can get a 75-year pin if you're into that. So anyway, but yeah, there are multiple observing programs. There's the Messier program. The one I'm working on is globular clusters. I discovered that there are no globular clusters now in the winter, so I have to wait until the Sagittarius rises in the spring to start my work. How did I do that? There's some simpler programs that you don't need a telescope for that are purely observational. There are moon observing programs, which George, I'm sure, has accomplished all of those. And there are binocular programs as well. So please do not think if you don't have a telescope that you can't pursue one of these. It's kind of like merit badges for adults that like to look at things at telescopes.
One of the advantages of doing those observing programs, it gives you something to shoot for. For instance, just getting your telescope out, looking at the same old things every time you go out, it's not very edifying. So if you got this list of 100 things, 100 objects you want to find, that gives you some incentive to get your telescope out and look through the telescope and spend some time, and you learn a lot that way too. Plus you get a pin and a certificate suitable for framing, and I've got several of those. Okay.
I'll add one other thing, because if you're, those observing programs are members of the Astronomical League. If you're a member of the BBA, you are also a member of the Astronomical League. That's part of your $23 that we collect. We send dues in your name to the Astronomical League on a yearly basis because they charge us. I update the roster with them every quarter. So if you are a paying member of BBA, you are a paying member of the Astronomical League. Emma's not a paying member, but I am.
Show and tell, show and tell.
Okay, I think that's all the reports. That takes us into old business. And I think our president, Sean, wants to say something about the Georgie June raffle. So Sean, are you there?
Uh-oh.
What is that?
Off the helium.
Is this an alien or something? Did Elon take you to Mars?
Spare tank of helium on the side.
The president's gonna duck.
Maybe he doesn't
I've
know.
never heard of that. You sound like you're on helium.
We cannot understand a word you're saying.
Yeah, I sign off and rejoin there, Sean.
Just sign up for it. Okay, whatever.
Your voice is compressed.
Alvin.
He's saying you got your 2 hamburgers.
That was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Is this Zoom?
That's a first.
At first I thought he was doing it like a joke.
I've heard of pixelization, but not.
I'm not, he's got Alvin. He's got Alvin fever.
He's got Alvin. I've never been even Alvinized.
Then he had a beer, yeah.
All right.
That fever of yours is really terrible.
No. You sound like a chipmunk.
It sounds like a chipmunk.
We cannot understand you.
He is really sick.
Yeah. Dial it on your phone. Come on, Sean, we want to hear you. What would cause that? I've never heard that on Zoom, ever. I heard of
Signed on
pixelization,
it this
never.
one. Try this.
He's got his phone or something.
Now you're muted.
Yeah, you did.
Does this sound better?
Yeah.
Hey,
I just turned on my phone instead.
There you
My
go.
son borrowed the webcam. I don't know. I had to sit there and install stuff again. But the only thing I wanted to talk about the Georgia June Scholarship was that we have the prizes now. I've got, see if I can show you. Got a Sky Glow broadband filter that was donated from one of our members. And in this box here, I have a Zoom eyepiece that is 7.2 to 21.6 millimeter. So it's a real nice eyepiece. And that was also donated by a member. And we have the Raspberry Pi that's going to have the magic mirror on it. And also I picked up a telescope and someone just donated another telescope. And I was thinking maybe we should just add this to the list.
Why not?
What is it? What is it?
I've actually got it right next to me too. Let me see if I can swap this around. So
Nice.
this is a 10-inch, what do they call that? Apteria,
Apertura.
Apertura. It's got a Telerad right angle finder,
Nice.
dual speed focuser. The mirror needs cleaned, and I don't know if you guys can see that because it's dark here, but
Go for it.
the telescope, it was pre-flocked at the factory.
Nice.
So it just looks like it's a little dirty, needs cleaned up. And the tray here, I gotta fix the tray because re-gluing these screws, I pulled out this particle board. But other than that, it's in good shape. So I was thinking we just add it on to the raffle prize. What do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
Good idea.
Great.
That was a nice donation and we can use that to help raise money for the scholarship.
Yeah.
But the Telerad is in good shape. I cleaned it up. The battery had leaked a little bit, but I was able to clean it up. Yeah,
The old school Telrad.
Now, for those of us who are not familiar with pie, what is a Raspberry Pi?
You eat it.
That's what I thought. It sounds like dessert to me.
Put some Cool Whip on it and you're good.
actually, I know what to do. Is that thing on right now? Okay,
You have a lot of cool lights in your house, that's for sure.
I made one for our family a year ago, and this is it. Okay, so it shows it's got two different screens it's rotating through. And it's backlit obviously by an LED. It's hanging here in the kitchen, but it's got our shopping list, the Wi-Fi password for guests, pollen count, because some of us are susceptible to that, and the calendar for my wife and I. And every 5 minutes, so in exactly 50 or 45 seconds, it's going to switch to astronomy stuff, because that's how I have it set up. See, right now it's showing all the calendar stuff for the club coming up, everything that's on my personal calendar, actually. And then at the bottom, it's got weather conditions at my location. But you'll see in 30 seconds, it's going to switch over to astronomy. And this is how I'm going to set up the one that we're giving away. But it's not going to come with a monitor. You're going to plug it in to whatever you want. You can put it in an old monitor, plug it into the back of your TV and just change the input when you want to see what's on it. Or you can have a dedicated monitor. Like I picked this up off of Facebook for like $40, this monitor. So it just switched over to the next astronomy stuff. It's loading up the screen. It's all browser based. So first it loads up the club activities here. These are all club specific with rocket launches and stuff like that coming up.
Phase of the moon.
Yep. We got the phase of the moon, what's going on. This will do near Earth asteroid if the module loads. Each one of these sections is individual modules that a private person wrote and just gave away for free. So sometimes there's issues. This is like the latest imagery from SDO though. This is like live video streaming off the internet up from the ISS. So that's what it's going to look like. Very similar to this, except it'll actually be, instead of flipped up vertical like this one, it'll be horizontal. So I'll make it so it can go on your TV. But if you want to do this, you can. And it's going to be able to be configured in a browser. So you're not going to have to like learn how to code or something to operate it.
Maybe we should include a monitor with the device.
Well,
From what I understand with Raspberry Pi, they're all plug and play, so anyone could use any monitor and they'll probably get something that.
Oh, the cool lights though, Sean.
I backlit some, I plugged the Raspberry Pi's got USB ports, so I just plugged some LED lights in the back and they're just rotating. And
I got a question about it. Does it have an HDMI?
HDMI.
How do you hook that up to your?
it has two HDMI ports. It'll do 4K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like if I come back in here to the living room and I've been tweaking the other one. So I got the other one plugged into my TV so I can access it through, it's called SSH. So I just changed it down here to where it says Magic Mirror. This is how I would envision most people would set it up, really. Oh, hold on. And then, I don't know, is that messed up for you guys turning the phone like that?
No, that's
That's
fine.
fine.
It's fine.
So
Rotated.
you see how small the words are? That's because it's displaying in 4K. So I would have to just change it to make it to where it's larger text. But this is it. This is what, when you run the default thing in Magic Mirror, this is what loads. It's got a calendar module on one side that does the holidays, the weather on the right, and then it tells you you're sexy and has New York Times on the bottom.
Okay, well, sounds good. All right.
These are supposed to be messages of affirmation for you, all right? So you feel good about yourself.
Have we decided that the ticket price will be $10?
Yeah. Yeah, $10. We can't forget the reason that we have the Georgia June raffle is to fund the Georgia June scholarship. And we just bumped it up to $1,000 last year. And we did all right on it, but that's because Chuck gave away a very nice astronomy camera that we were able to raise a lot of money off of. So I figured we'd start with this $10 thing and hopefully that's able to raise enough money to fund the scholarship each time, the $1,000. And if we sell all the tickets, we should be. I'm gonna do the same amount of tickets Chuck told me that he got, which was 400. So it's $100 or 100 tickets per officer.
So
And
can you bring those tickets to the luncheon on the 11th?
no, I'm gonna have them like probably shipped to your house, George. I'm not gonna be here, remember? I have to go to Radford.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think $10 is pretty, I mean, we were talking about $10 and a telescope wasn't being raffled at that point. All this
Yeah.
other stuff. I think we could easily, I mean, no one's gonna stop at $10 when you have a chance to win a nice dog like that.
This telescope is an $800 telescope new. So this is a good donation. The guy who got it, gave it to me, it's the same story, you know, where it gets to be too much telescope for the person as they're aging and they get a smaller telescope and they don't have use for the larger one. So that's what happened. It was a real nice gentleman up at Newport News donated it. Thank him for that.
Did he give you any eyepieces with it or?
No, he did not. But we have an eyepiece that was donated for this raffle, remember?
So it's not a package stealer.
Yeah, I mean, we can, well, you don't have to do it that way, but that's how we have an eyepiece. We have an ultra block in this eyepiece here, so.
Or we can get a couple general eyepieces, like a 25 and a 10 from Orion for. a
You just
reasonable
got a free telescope. You can afford eyepieces for.
I think so, yeah.
Can't afford a knife.
You probably got, if anybody in the club wins it, we probably already have eyepieces anyway.
Yeah,
But,
the Orion eyepieces, the Colossals are about 50 or 60 bucks minimum or maximum, I think.
Yeah,
The prices have gone up lately.
and this eyepiece here, this is a really good one. This ain't that standard Celestron one that we were putting on the library telescope. This is like double the price of that one. This is a high quality one, wider field of view. So it's pretty nice. Whoever wins that one's gonna like it.
Okay,
That is all I got. So I'm gonna order those tickets. I'll have them sent to your house, George.
Is he gonna publish the information of the specs of what he's raffling?
yeah, can you make a list of all the things that are gonna be raffled off and I'll
Yeah.
publish that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, any other old business? Okay, we have some new business. Bruce Powers, would you like to come up here and discuss your proposal? You don't have to wear a mask behind the screen.
This is me. Bruce has a proposal.
I have a proposal. Okay, so when I was at ODU, doing lots of people in Norfolk Stars, I made good on a threat to show up here in person instead of on Zoom. And and nothing against anybody on Zoom. I think this is awesome that we do this hybrid format. And thanks so much to Jeff Goldstein for continuing to offer this format because I can't always get out here. So kudos to Jeff. And everybody on Zoom should be thanking Jeff as well. All right, so the East Coast Star Party. Does anybody miss the East Coast Star Party?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, everybody land. I know Paul Tartarbini misses the East Coast Star Party.
He's still muted.
I try. Okay, it's hard to get. Oh, we got a response from the NASA guy. There it is. So, so for a lot of years, for our new members, if you're not familiar, the East Coast Star Party was held for what, almost 25 years?
26 years.
26 years at the former Hampton Lodge campground in Coinjock, North Carolina. It was a 4-day event. And Kent Blackwell, basically it wasn't a formal club event. It was a event that was sponsored by Kent Blackwell, and BBAA showed up along with people from multiple locations all over the East Coast. It was a very popular event. And unfortunately, 2 years ago now, yeah, I think in 2019, the Hampton Lodge campground sold out to KOA and basically took over the campground, and Kent said, no mas. And so kudos to Kent for running a fantastic event, pretty much on his own with some support from us. But it wasn't, again, it was not an official club event. It was always well attended. There were probably in excess of 25 to 30 people and at least 15 telescopes at every event. It's not wasn't a large event, but we enjoyed each other's company. There was a lot of consumption, shall we say, if it was cloudy. Okay, we consumed things, I won't say what.
A lot of good food.
And a lot of good food. We consumed food. Okay, there was spaghetti, there was hamburgers. We had raffles, and we had a Halloween contest, which one year was truly frightening. That, with the costumes that showed up from amateur astronomers who are all very creative people. Okay, so I learned about the East Coast Star Party around 2014 from Jim Tallman, and I bought a camper and acquired 2 more telescopes to be able to use at a night sky event within a 2-hour drive of the Hampton Roads area. So I have hatched a plan, and I'm happy to provide these notes to Jeff if you would like, to reconstitute, revive, and relocate the East Coast Star Party to Chip Oaks State Park, which is only about an hour and a half east of here, northeast of here. Okay, so why?
West.
Northwest of here. Okay, sorry. All right. So why am I coming to you with this? And again, I'm not asking for a decision tonight. I'm only proposing what we want to do, okay? And since I'm proposing this, I can help, kick it off. But as has already been pointed out on email from Sean and George, I can't do this by myself. I am not the new Kent Blackwell, okay? Kent, I spoke to him at the ODU event for International Observe the Move Night, and he's in favor of this as well. But Kent has gone above and beyond the call of duty. Okay, so I went camping with a friend, okay, over the fall time period, and we went to both Chip Oaks and Salt River State Park, and I started looking at the two parks, and I was like, huh. Salt River State Park looks a lot like Chip Oaks in terms of, what we could use to have a star party there. There's a large fields available. There's a RV campsites are available, or, you could use a tent. And the similarities, while I was sitting at Salt River, I had more time than I expected to think about this and rove around and talk to people because it was cloudy. So I got maybe a whopping 6 hours of dark sky time that was not cloudy. So I had a lot of time to talk to people. So I talked to Jamie Hanzik of the Chapel Hill, North Carolina Astronomical Society, otherwise known as Chaos. So has anybody here been to Salt River State Park for the Star Party? Anybody? Anyone?
I have.
Berline, I know you've been there. I've seen you there. Okay. So did you enjoy it out there, Bob? Do you think that was a good Star Party?
Well, I was planning on going last time, except for the weather looked so bad. I didn't decide to go over there. Plus, I wasn't feeling well.
Okay. All right. Well, I like to camp, so I just went anyway because even though it was cloudy, and talked to a lot of people. So I talked to Jamie Hasnick of Chapel Hill. I also got to talking to Stephanie Allen of the Salt River State Park staff. So she is on the state organization staff for the Department of Conservation and Resources, otherwise known as DCR. Okay, so so I started talking to Stephanie about what's up with DCR throughout the state of Virginia. And it turns out, interestingly enough, that during the pandemic, there's been a very strong, as her words, huge desire from DCR in Richmond for dark sky astronomy programming to improve park usage ratings and promote the use of parks now throughout the state of Virginia. So it's not just Salt River. There's been demand from all the state parks to have dark sky astronomy events. Okay. So I said, well, in the past, when we've done events at Chip Oaks, we have to have a permit. So if you go out there, you can't just set stuff up because the ranger will come talk to you. So you have to have a permit. And however, when we got these conversations going, basically what Chaos did with Stone River is they don't have permits. They basically get a park event. So it is a formal park event. And it's a joint relationship between the Chaos North Carolina Raleigh Club and Salt River State Park. So basically, if we decided to do this, it'd basically be on a basis of no permits required. So basically, everybody coming in wouldn't have to, get. We all need less paperwork right now. Sign this, so we don't have to do that. Okay, so that's point number one, where I think this might be feasible. Point number two is Jamie Hasnick offered to consult with us through Backbeat Amateur Astronomy and use the Staunton River State Park Star Party business model to possibly replicate it at Chip Oaks in 2022. So as I mentioned, much of the infrastructure of the two parks is very similar. The infrastructure for how we could structure the event is also done by Chaos. Now, Chaos has a fairly aggressive schedule, and they've been doing this for upwards of, I'd say, roughly about 6 years now. And they do it twice a year for a week. So we might not want to bite off quite that much initially, because in the past, when we did East Coast Star Party twice a year, in what was it?
Usually
May
around
and
May and
May and
October.
October. That's the model that Chaos uses. It's also May and October. But in the past, we only did it for 4 days in May and October, and Chaos also does the same thing. Okay, so I guess only Bob really knows this, but the Salt River Star Party is quite the production. They have speakers, they have T-shirts. The park is a International Dark Sky Association certified site with very good, what's it called, portal ratings, sky, darkness ratings approaching 21. So it is dark, dark, dark there. You cannot see your hand in front of your face. So it's awesome dark there. That's why I like to go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was there one time. What I liked about it was, among other things, we had towers. We also have reinforced field.
Yes.
In my case, I wasn't too impressed with the sky. Friday night there, about 10 o'clock on.
Yeah.
It was clear, but oh well.
Yeah.
Another force gas tricked me.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I could see some sky glow on the horizon.
yeah.
And
Well,
up
so
above it was fine.
yeah, the site, as was alluded to, it's pretty sophisticated. They run DC power out to multiple locations, so we wouldn't start with that. They also have a food concession that runs 24 hours a day, and they have bottomless cups of coffee all night long, so you can get totally wired. So we don't have that at Chip Oaks. So what I discovered is that there is a very close symbiotic relationship between the Chaos Club and Salt River State Park. It turns out the reason they have a food concession there is because the funds that Chaos gets for people to attend their Star Party go directly back to Salt River State Park to fund new grills, new refrigerators. So there you go. So they get money from the state, but they looked at the astronomers as, there's some people with money, they can fund our food concession and our infrastructure. So that's exactly what they've done. And they build themselves as a IDA certified dark sky site, which brings in people from all over. So there's probably, on a good year, when I went in 2018, there's in excess of 50 people at these things. So it's a big party. East Coast Star Party was never that big. It was always a smaller party. Okay. So point number 3 of why we might want to try this is that, as everybody knows, we already have a relationship with Chip Oaks State Park in terms of night watch. Okay. So most, not all, of the rangers know that BBAA comes out there once a month and does things in that parking lot where we conduct the night watch event. Okay. So where do we go from here? What I'd like to propose is, and I can facilitate this because I'm a Zoom monster like Chuck Goldstein there. I've been Zooming like crazy for a year and a half. This is the first time I've been here in over a year and a half. Everything else I've done with my other clubs has been on Zoom. And so I already talked to Jamie and Stephanie. What I propose is a Zoom call between Sean and George and myself and Stephanie and Jamie to discuss the way ahead of how, because what we should not do in approaching a state agency and a state park is try to reinvent the wheel from scratch. So they offered to basically consult with us if we want to do this, to do a crawl, walk, run approach starting in 2022. We may only want to do one, just to pilot it, see how it goes for only 4 days. I would not recommend kicking off with a food concession. I mean, we showed up ordering spaghetti and hamburgers for 26 years. So I think we can figure that out. We do not need DC power to each site at Chip Oaks. It's pretty bougie. We have batteries to do that. Okay, so, but anyway, you know, we might be able to cough up some t-shirts and you say that, you know, we reconstituted the East Coast Star Party. Anyhow, and then depending on how that step one way ahead goes, then step two would be, I could go ahead and approach Chip Oaks and see, you know, what our proposal is from the first meeting that we present to them. I have a strong suspicion that it would be very well received, because what happens to Stone River is their park ratings go up and Richmond Department of Conservation and Resources goes, oh, my staff is doing a great job at this park. Here's some more money for whatever. You know, so anyway, it's a, I think it's a win-win, you know, possibility. And however, it will require some commitment on the part of the club. Okay, I can't do this by myself, and we can't just make George run it. You know,
I suggest we, after we've discussed this, we can come up with a committee of people who are interested and share the load with the committee and decide how we're going to do this.
yeah. So what I noticed in talking to the Chaos folks for 3 days with too much time on my hands because it was cloudy. And they do have some people there all week, but the whole club is not there all week. There's probably, I'd say, at least 3 to 4 people there, checking people in, taking their money. You know, here's your hang tag you can put on your vehicle and go crazy and look at stars. So it's this question of really the hardest part of this is going to be, you know, having the people, you know, to help run the event and kicking it off with you know, Department of Conservation and Resources in Richmond. But I already have the point of contact in Richmond that Stephanie can facilitate for us. Okay. So
Yeah.
any questions from the audience?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few of us attended the James River Star Party, and it's very much like you were just describing. It was very bare bones. They had a shelter and they provided electricity at the shelter with bathrooms and stuff like that. But it was very bare bones. And the Rangers themselves ran it. There was no club that was there, although they did have a club that came in and did some presentations, and they were very interested in doing exactly what you talked about, boosting their ratings for their park. They talked about that being an annual event. So I just wanted to mention that it's probably, like you said, a statewide effort, and I'm sure Chip Oaks, but that might be another resource you might want to consider talking to, you know, because they just did one. And I think it was their first one, I think.
Yeah, and you went to that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Bruce, what drives, or do you know the number of days, 2, 3, 4, 5 days? What historically drives the number of days?
Well,
Over a weekend.
yeah, definitely over a weekend, you know, because some people can't come for a week. I know at one point I couldn't come for a week, but you know, now that I have more vacation time saved up, you know, I can go for, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 days. The driver really is, I think the willingness of the club to, you know, have somebody there. I'm not really sure that the park cares that much. I mean, as long as, well, obviously we want to do it around a new moon weekend, otherwise people won't show up. But I think just for us, because the East Coast Star Party was always 4 days, that was always kind of our expectation. I really wouldn't want to attempt anything beyond like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday initially. If everybody loves it and we just want to go longer than 4 days.
Well, actually, officially, the East Coast Star Party was 3 days, but a lot of people showed up a day early.
Yeah, I
so
thought
it
so,
extended
yeah.
to 4 days.
Yeah, yeah, that was to enhance the consumption. So, but yeah, I mean, astronomy is a weather dependent outdoor hobby. I mean, I go to these events knowing I'm only going to get 50% of the nights clear anyway. So if you only go one night, you might get nothing. You go 2 nights, you might get nothing. You go 3 or 4, you're going to get at least, you know, 2 or 3 nights. So that's really, I think, the unless, chaos just says, oh, a week is easy, but we can determine that later. Okay, so anyway, I can give my notes to Jeff and we can discuss this
Okay.
in January. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Another thing to add, the Staunton River Star Party is normally in March on Dark of the Moon, and I'm looking for it for next year. And it looks either going to be early March or early April for the Dark of the Moon.
I suggest if we go this route, we look at the other Star Party schedule and make sure we don't conflict with them.
Yeah.
So that we can cooperate and not contrast. Okay, very good. I think what we'll do is we'll discuss this among the officers. We'll get together with Bruce and the other points of contact. I've got contacts at Chipokes also, the Rangers there, since I've got the permit. So yeah, that's something we will definitely look into. Thank you, Bruce. Okay. If there are no more reports or new business, how about observing reports? Has anybody seen anything lately of interest?
I'd like to hear about forecasts for Comet December.
There is a comet, I forgot the name of it. Leonard.
Comet Leonard.
Comet Leonard is supposed to be visible, possibly to naked eye visible, but at least binocular visible in December and January. I don't know the details, but
I attempted to look at it this morning. I woke up at times, but I couldn't pull it out, but I live in a light polluted Norfolk, so.
okay,
I have
well,
my 10X binoculars and I scanned the sky for quite a bit.
yeah, I'm sure we'll be getting more information about that, and anything we find out, we'll put out on the website, webpage, or the Facebook page, or Groups.io.
Hey, Bruce, this is Paul. Not Bruce. Hey, Bruce. Hey, George. I observed it this morning from here in Yorktown. Is real close to Messier 3, the globular cluster. And tomorrow you'll be able to see it if you guys try tomorrow. It'll be in the same field of view.
What time of day?
It's about I viewed it at 5:20 this morning, so you got to get up early for it. Yeah, it's if you could find Messier 3, it's real close to it. I mean, tomorrow I'll be in the same field of view. But I mean, actually, this morning I got mistaken at first, and I said, "Boy, that's way too bright for a 6 magnitude comet." And I said, "Oh, I'm looking at Messier 3," and then I figured out from my chart it was about 2 degrees from there. So yeah, check it out tomorrow. Way back in 2012, in fact, we have a newsletter article on this. Way back in 2012. Me and Nick Anderson had observed, I think it was Comet Grad next to M92. So every once in a while, these things happen. It's kind of cool when it happens, so check it out.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. M3. Look for M3 in the sky, 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. All right. Are there any other observing reports?
Yeah, I'm going.
Eddie
I think I
Paris.
spoke to you about, I think back in November the 11th, we had a Dragon 3 launch. I don't know if you guys know, but my gosh, I mean, Cape Kennedy, going down the East Coast and looking through my backyard, you can still see it before it started taking off towards the ocean. But that was wild. I mean, me and my grandson saw it right in the backyard, and there it was, just watching the launch on TV, and it's just excellent.
Yes, it's amazing. You can actually see those launches from here.
Yeah, yeah.
When SpaceX launched their 4 civilians into space, it was on a Wednesday night. I was at church with the Royal Rangers, and I had my computer watching the launch while I was doing my stuff. And I said, "No, if we could go out by the beach and look toward the south, we could see it." Well, one of my Ranger buddies went out to the parking lot of the church, and he took a picture with his cell phone, and he saw it. It's awesome. Okay, anything else? All right, let's move into our feature presentation for tonight. And since this is December, often we do in December a primer, something we call Astronomy 101, how to buy a telescope or what to look for in a telescope. Because about this time of year, people are thinking about, well, maybe buying a telescope for their child or even an adult and for Christmas. Well, at our Christmas meeting, we often take that into consideration and give out information on what not to buy and what to look for, whether it's for the child or whatever. So I have here, and for you guys on Zoom, if you have one, I've got 3 handouts. If anybody wants a copy of the handouts, send me an email to pathfinder027 at yahoo.com, and I will email the handouts to you. The first one is advice on buying a telescope for a child. And for the sake of the people out there on Zoom, I'll read some of this. Thinking about buying a scope for a child? Age counts, although not as much as you might think. A bright, interested 8-year-old can make more use of, enjoy more, and then learn more with a telescope than a disinterested 14-year-old. The only real problems associated with child's age are how much weight and size the child can lift or carry and how much money you're willing to spend. How much does the child know? The best assurance you have that interest will last is the amount of effort he or she puts into learning about it. Has the child asked you questions? Does he or she find books and magazines about astronomy interesting and read them? Is the child interested in looking at the stars with you and learning their names and places? One warning with the current craze about outer space and enthusiasm for the stars of Star Wars may not extend to real stars and planets. So how inventive is the child? Does he or she have manual skills or an aptitude for mechanical things? What about making or building things? A skillful child can probably use and take care of more complicated equipment. Are the parents supportive? Are they interested in natural history, science, and the world around them? Will they allow their child to stay up late and use the telescope? Those are some considerations on buying a telescope for a child. I've got another handout, which is 8 pages long, and it's got some suggestions, some new advice for a new person in astronomy. And I'll just run through this real quickly. Orion, I've got 6 Orion telescopes. I wish I had stock in the company. But they have good telescopes at decent prices and good customer support. They have a Go Scope 80mm backpack refractor. This is just like my telescope, my 80mm refractor, except that it's got a red dot finder and a 45 degree star diagonal and a little bit different tripod. But it's got a backpack and it comes with a moon map and they just recently raised the prices. It's out now $199.99. So say $200. It was $180. The next suggestion is the Star Blast. And Matt McLaughlin has had one of these for years. They make a 4.5-inch Star Blast reflector and a 6-inch. And they're both really good. I don't have the price for the 6-inch, but the 4.5-inch is $269.99, and it comes with a moon filter, a planisphere, and a moon map with 2 eyepieces and a red dot finder. And I used to say I'm not a fan of red dot finders. I prefer a finder scope. But when I was doing my lunar award, I was using a red dot finder on the Star Blast 6. And I got to like it. So it's not bad at all. Okay, next suggestion is a 4.5-inch Dobsonian reflector. This is the bare bones version, comes with 2 eyepieces and a finder scope for $349.99, or what they call the kit. It has a little red flashlight, Shorty Barlow, moon map, something else here, it's the planisphere and a guide, telescope guide. And that kit adds another $20 to the price, so it's $369.99, $370 basically. And back when my grandchildren were very little, I bought one of these scopes used, a 4.5-inch Dobsonian. It's called an XT 4.5. I bought one and set it aside, hoping that someday one of my grandchildren might get interested in astronomy. Well, lo and behold, Samantha, my granddaughter, my daughter, Betsy's daughter, Samantha Burris, when she was in 6th grade, wanted to do a science project for school. I gave her some suggestions and she took it and ran with it and loved it. I gave her that telescope. She used it for several years, came out to outreach events, was showing the Girl Scouts and other people things in the stars, in the sky. And she soon outgrew that telescope, so I took it back. I gave her an 8-inch Dob. Well, now she's in college. Well, she couldn't take that 8-inch to college with her, so I got an 80mm refractor to take with her. And I took back the 4.5-inch, and just last Christmas, a year ago, this month, I gave that 4.5-inch scope to another granddaughter, 13-year-old Chloe, who is super interested, and she loves that scope. She gave it a name, calls it Sirius, and she was at she's been to a number of our outreach events. Another suggestion, moving on up a little bit from a 4.5-inch reflector, there's a XT6, the Orion 6-inch Dobsonian reflector, and a person who buys this for a child, even for adult, this could last a lifetime. You might not ever want to go beyond this 6-inch. It's easy, it's inexpensive. This one sells for $399.99, $400. Comes with 2 eyepieces and a red dot finder. I started out with a 90mm refractor, and then I got an 8-inch Dob, and then a 10-inch Dob, and then a few other telescopes. But this is a good one. You could use this for years and years. Now, there are a couple other telescopes that are possible. There's a Maxiton Cassegrain and a Schmidt Cassegrain and SCT. They are getting more expensive and more technical, and I don't recommend them for a starter telescope, but they're good for an advanced astronomer. Now, I mentioned finder scope. I didn't care for the red dot finder. I've always used finder scopes, and I do have a couple recommendations here for finder scopes. The low man on the totem pole is a 6x30 finder, means it's a 6 power, magnifies 6 times. It's got a 30mm objective, and it's decent. It's usable. The finder scope has crosshairs, so you get your target object, star, galaxy, planet, nebula, close to the crosshairs after you've aligned it with your scope, and then use the eyepiece and your focuser to zoom in on the item. So that's a 6 power finder. Better, moving up, is the 8 power finder, 8x40. This has got magnifies 8 times, got a 40mm eyepiece or objective lens. And the price of this one is $44.99 or $45. Price of this is about $10 more, $54.99 or $55. And Orion has other finders, and other people have finder scopes, different varieties, different sizes. They make a 9x50, magnifies 9 times, a 50mm, and I think it's about $90. They have a right angle correct image finder. You got a right angle, and there's all kinds of finders. They've also got Telrads and Rigel quick finders and all kinds of things. So anyway, you need a finder. Finally, I just reaffirmed the 6-inch, the XT6. Looked at the price. It's gone up $50. It used to be $300. Now it's $350. But it's still a good bargain. It's a good deal, and it could last a good long time. So, any questions about those possible beginner telescopes? If you have a child who's interested in astronomy, we always say, don't go out and buy a telescope. Get a pair of binoculars and a planisphere or star wheel and start learning constellations. And if they're still interested after they spot the constellation and start recognizing star patterns, then consider a telescope. Now, we also say don't buy a department store telescope. Sometimes they're gently referred to as TSOs, telescope-shaped objects. The not so gentle term for them is trash scopes. I've got a 4-page handout here on avoiding the trash scope trap. I'll just hit the highlights. How do I define a trash scope? Plastic lenses. If it has plastic lenses, forget it. Inferior grade coatings on lenses, or no coatings at all. Don't choose any instruments to be used for astronomy with anything less than multi-coated as a rating, or fully multi-coated is better. Regarding binoculars, never buy anything having red, so-called ruby coatings, or amber, gold tinted coatings. This is a certain indication of inferior, unsuitable instruments that don't satisfy the viewing requirements of astronomy. Okay, item number 3, a plastic draw tube, focuser, or star diagonal components. These parts should be made of metal, ideally, though certain high impact plastics are adequate for the part of the focuser. Okay, item number 4, flimsy, shaky, spindly, jittery, etc. mounts and tripods. Sometimes you can buy a department store telescope. The telescope is fairly decent, but the tripod is so shaky, so rickety, you can't hold the scope in place. I had a couple come out to one of our events looking at the moon one night, and they asked me to help them with their telescope, the 70mm cheap junky telescope, and I couldn't even get it to work. I get the moon, and as soon as I try to look through the eyepiece, and it was just too unstable. You don't want a flimsy, shaky, cheap, inadequate scope mount. Okay, number 5, small aperture refractors or Newtonians with focal lengths sufficiently long as to make the optical tube considerably longer than it is wide. What's the problem here? Simple. Quite often, such scopes lack an altitude adjustment or locking bar that you might as well be playing with a tripod mounted seesaw. Again, we're talking something goes like this. A decent telescope has a bar that comes out with a little wheel that you can turn that raises it slowly up and down in altitude, or another bar here that maybe turns it side to side in azimuth. So if it doesn't have that, if it's a cheap refractor, it's probably a trash scope. And this goes into a lot more detail. I'm just hitting the high points. Item number 6, refractors smaller than 60mm aperture are suspect. Such small size usually indicates cheap overall quality, although there do exist some expensive high-end scopes of 50mm size. So make your lower aperture limit 60mm for refractors. If you can afford 70mm or larger, better still. Mine's an 80. I used to have a 90. I gave that to a friend, or sold it to a friend, and I missed it so much I had to get 80, get another one. Okay, number 7, don't buy a scope having its basic eyepiece or focuser size less than 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches in diameter. That's standard. And many scopes now come with a 2-inch diameter eyepiece that you can put 2-inch eyepieces in it. If it's a scope with an eyepiece diameter of 0.965, that indicates it's a trash scope. It's a problem. So save yourself some grief. Don't get one of them. Number 8, avoid telescopes or binoculars priced way low, under $100 or so for scopes, or they say $60 for binoculars. You can get a decent pair of binoculars, I think, at Walmart for maybe $35 or $40. So I don't quite agree with that $60 thing, but for a good brand name binoculars, that's probably true. Number 9, talks about binoculars again. Talks about rubber coating, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, anyway. He says you're better off with a binocular as a starter instrument for stargazing. And we agree. Number 10, watch out for splashy, garish blurbs marked on telescope boxes or packaging. The one that claims you'll be able to see things at 500 power or 750 power. It's nonsense. Figure about 150 power as a maximum realistic magnification for most small instruments. For instance, my 80mm refractor, if I get up to 150 power, I'm lucky. My 8-inch dog on the other side, I can see a lot more. Okay, if the scope comes with a Barlow lens, they say, don't use it until you get used to using the telescope itself with just a regular lens. And a 2x Barlow doubles the magnification. So if you have a 25 millimeter eyepiece and say a 100 millimeter focal length, that's 40 power. 4 power. 4 power. Say 1,000 millimeter focal length, that's 40 power. Put a Barlow in there, it makes it 80 power, makes the effective focal length of the eyepiece instead of 25, makes it 12 and a half. If you have a 10 millimeter eyepiece with a 2x Barlow, it makes it a 5 millimeter eyepiece, doubles the power. Don't bother with a 3 power Barlow. You'll never use it. It's just pretty useless. It magnifies too much. I tell people when you try to magnify something too much, it's hard to focus, it's blurry, and it doesn't stay in the field of view long enough to be worth anything. So don't mess with a 3x Barlow. Okay, so anyway, this is a nice 4-page article on not buying a trash scope. So when you do buy a telescope, I say do your homework, buy a real telescope from a reputable dealer like Orion or some of the places online. I don't know all of them, but make sure it's a real telescope and not a telescope-shaped object or a trash scope. Okay, that is pretty much our December feature on telescopes for Christmas. Any questions? Yes, sir.
So my coworkers, whenever there's any kind of astronomical event, besiege me with questions this time of year about what kind of telescope should I buy my kid, and which we all now know your items 1 through 10, but they always come at me with what magnification should I get and how much should I spend? And if you are constrained by somebody that says cost and magnification, what would you tell them?
Well, it depends on their price range. What is their price range? If it's $200 or less, small refractor like that backpack refractor. If it's up to maybe $300, I'd get a small Dob, maybe a 4.5 or a 6-inch Dob. And basically, you start out with 2 eyepieces, a 25 millimeter eyepiece and a 10 millimeter eyepiece are standard, and a 2x Barlow. That gives you equivalent of 4 eyepieces, and it's relatively inexpensive.
So the next question I always get is, okay, now I bought my kid this telescope.
What do I do with it?
How do I prevent it from becoming a coat rack? How do I keep my kid engaged once I spend $300?
Well,
what would you tell them?
That's where we say, don't buy a telescope right away. Get the binoculars, get a planisphere, maybe a small star chart, and go outside at night and point out the constellations. Learn the constellations. That's what I did when I first started out in astronomy. I didn't know anything.
Tell them to go to Skywatch.
Huh?
Tell them to go to Skywatch.
Go to Skywatch. Yes, go to Skywatch. Come out to some of our events. Look through our telescopes. Yes, Bill.
My bride found it interesting planisphere. And what it was an optical planisphere. But the eyepiece, you can see superposed stars on a field inside the telescope.
Wow.
The optical device.
It's interesting. And the planets are inside the eyepiece.
Pick out your constellations, just knowing that all you had to do was know where north and south were east and west. And you could adjust it, and you had them for every 10-degree template that you slide in there.
Oh.
And from 0 to 10, then 20 latitude, so on. And they had them for the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, that's interesting. But like I say, have them make sure they're going to be interested before you spend the money for the telescope. Ben?
You know, thinking back decades ago, I think the biggest push that kept me, besides having a telescope, my first reflector, the trash scope, but I made it work, was a subscription to a Sky and Telescoper magazine. That
Good.
I was yearning to find stuff, and of course, it was disappointing because it was a trash scope, but that kept me driving to yearn to find whatever they were talking about and the planets and stuff like that. And that really opened up your eyes. So subscription, I think, is absolutely crucial.
When you're talking about interest, Bruce, a subscription to astronomy magazine, or Sky and Telescope magazine, or join a club. Students can join the club free and hang out with these people who know so much, and they'll learn. And that's how I learned.
I'd say keep the scope handy. Don't put it away in the closet. Keep it on its stand in the garage if you can, or somewhere where you can just easily pick it up and walk outside with it.
Right. Keep it
I have
handy.
binoculars that I keep on my kitchen table for birding and for quickly running outside when Orion's coming up and things like that. So I think having the equipment handy and ready to go gets you out there more often.
Keep the equipment handy. Another thing is make sure it's something you can handle. If it's too big, you're not going to use it.
Yeah.
If it's too bulky, you're not going to use it. I bought a 10-inch Dob because it fit across the back seat of my car. The 12-inch would have stuck out the door. So I wasn't going to buy a 12-inch. Plus, it's a lot heavier. So those are some points. Yes, Bill.
When I was a kid, I think about 7 or 8 years old, I earned money cutting lawns. A collar pop, and I ended up buying a telescope that I saw advertised in a magazine, and it cost $7.50. Back in 1905. But it had a bakelite tube, and the only thing I could see in it was the moon.
Typical.
Stars were not happening.
That's right.
The tripod was wobbly, and all of the earmarks of your perfect crash.
Yeah, over the years, I had several telescopes as a kid. Same deal. They all had sort of rickety tripod. I could see the moon, but that's about it. Didn't know what else to look at. And now, that's why I say get a planisphere, learn the constellations, and the pet magazine. Yes, sir.
George, safety disclaimer, always push this, God forbid, because I'm lucky to have my eyesight. If whatever telescope, don't ever let a child look at the sun or point it near during daytime. Just keep them away from the sun.
Right. Never, ever. We always try to say that.
Some might, back in the old days, they used to provide those welder glass filters, and God help us, I'm surprised many people have their eyesight because of
Yeah.
that.
Never, ever look at the sun without a properly filtered telescope. A filter that fits over the aperture, not
Stay away from that.
eyepiece. I don't think they even make eyepiece filters anymore.
Stay away from it.
Anyway, yeah, that's a good point. Don't look at the sun. Okay, any other points or questions? Yeah, Bill?
I just have one thing to add about that. Several years ago, we had that, what the sun still. If everybody seemed to enjoy that, I wouldn't charge. And one lady came out, she had, I think, 2 children, and one was, he had a hard time trying to do this also, but that's aside from the point. I'm sitting there, I looked over at the literature table, and some fellas had taken some eyepieces and used them to weight down. They wouldn't blow away. And this youngster went over there and grabbed an eye.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Without anybody knowing it. Everybody was looking up this way, and he was over there fooling around with. He gets the thing out and points it up the side.
Oh, my gosh.
Egyptian.
Oh, no.
And I hollered at him, and his mother just went ballistic. I hollered at him.
Yeah, very careful.
Less than a second.
Okay, well, I guess that covers the Astronomy 101. I've got one other little feature I want to go over. It's called the Year in Review. It's goes back to December of last year and what we have done in the club. Now, there were a lot of cancellations this year, so we had a lot of things, a lot of times that there were not very many events in a given month, but we had a few. In fact, I'm thankful that the Chesapeake Parks and Rec people were very, very liberal in allowing us to come out to Northwest River Park and Cornland Park and Elizabeth River Park for our events. Sometimes we had to have masks, and later on we didn't even have to have masks, but we followed their guidelines and they let us have our events, which I'm thankful for. So in December of last year, on the 3rd of December, we had a meeting here at TCC and we covered, what do you know, astronomy 101. Very similar. In fact, if you remember, if you were here, I dragged in a bunch of trash scopes and a couple of good telescopes to show the difference. I couldn't do that today because I just had cataract surgery. I'm not supposed to lift anything or bend over for a week or so. Anyway, okay, on the 12th of December last year, we had our annual luncheon. On the 19th, we had our Saturday, Sunday. And on the 21st was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which was clouded out. But a few of us, Jeff and Mel and Chuck Yago and I went out to Sandbridge Road and we set up telescopes and we saw the conjunction the day after. It wasn't quite as close, but it was good. That was on the 22nd of December last year. Okay, January. On the 7th of January, we had our meeting online, Zoom. And although there were many cancellations, as I mentioned, Chesapeake's Park and Rec kept us in business. On the 16th, we had Skywatch. On the 23rd, we had Saturday, Sunday in January. February, on the 4th of Feb, we had our meeting, our virtual meeting, and Rich Roberts told us about Betelgeuse and its dimming and what that might have meant and what could have caused that. On the 6th was Saturday, Sunday. On the 18th, we had the Perseverance rover landed on Mars. Sort of a watching the landing, or at least watching the people watching the landing and celebrating when they got confirmation. In March 4th was our meeting on Zoom. 6th was Skywatch, and that's all. March was a pretty much zero month because everything was canceled. April the 1st, we had our meeting virtual. April the 3rd was Saturday, Sunday. On April 20th, we actually had a Garden Stars, and that's when my granddaughter Samantha gave a presentation on light pollution, the same one she did here virtually the month before. And on the 23rd, Chloe and I went out to Indian reservation, in Indian territory. I can't remember what it's called, but the American Heritage Girls and Trail Life Boys were working on astronomy merit badges, and we helped them do that. In May, we had a meeting in person right here. We started our in-person meetings again, doing dual meetings in person and on Zoom. So on May 6th, we had our club meeting. On the 18th, we had Garden Stars. And on the 21st, Boardwalk Astronomy #1 was canceled. Canceled by the city, not by us. The city said because of COVID, no boardwalk. June 3rd, we had our meeting here. On the 5th, we had Skywatch. On the 10th, we went down to the boardwalk early in the morning before dawn to watch the annular solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse. And that was really cool. On the 15th of June, we did have Boardwalk Astronomy. On the 17th, we had Garden Stars, and Bill McLean filled in for me. I usually do the Garden Stars presentation. And we had Bill McLean and several people had their telescopes there for Garden Stars on the 17th of June. On the 26th of June, we had Saturday, Sunday. Oh, and on the 22nd and the 29th of June, 1 week apart, I had 2 Cub Scout day camps. And of course, in the daytime, we can't see anything but the sun, and the sun was not doing much. It was cloudy at one of those days at least. So we focused on an osprey nest in a tower about a mile away. And it was cool because we could see the osprey going up and down and feeding the babies. In July, there was no monthly meeting because of our annual picnic, but we did have Skywatch on the 3rd. On the 10th, we went out to a place near Gloucester called Under the Stars Lavender Farm and found a nice dark sky out there. On the 15th, we had garden stars. On the 16th, we did the nature bus star party. On the 17th, we had our picnic. On the 20th, we had boardwalk astronomy. And on the 30th, we went out to Driver out in the boonies for our Galaxies night hike, which Samantha remembers very well. She and Chloe went on the hike and it poured. It was a downpour. We couldn't see any stars. We couldn't see anything except rain. And they came back like drowned rats, but they had fun, didn't
We
you?
did see a deer and what we believed to have been a fox.
They saw some animals. Okay, that takes us into August. August was a busy month. On the 3rd of August, Sean and I went to Chesapeake for what they called Neighborhood Night Out, honoring the first responders, firemen, policemen, and EMTs. And we had a static display of telescopes and some charts and handouts, setting up under a canopy because it was raining. 5th of August, we had our monthly meeting at ODU to see their new planetarium. We had a field trip that month for the meeting. On 11th of August, we went out to Windsor for a Percy meteor shower watch. Jeff Goldstein, Mel Spruill, Dan Pelzel, and Chloe and me and Sean went out to see the meteors. And I think they said a total of 73 were seen. Chloe saw 60. I saw 20. That's one thing that convinced me I needed cataract surgery. Okay, that was in August. On the 11th and the 12th, we had garden stars. On the 13th, had another nature bus thing out at Cornland. Boardwalk astronomy number 4 at on the 17th. It was canceled because of clouds. And as soon as we got back home, it seemed the clouds cleared, but it was too late. On the 21st, we went to the Norfolk Naval Station for the Great Navy Camp Out at Breezy Point. That was a nice location. And on the 28th, we had Skywatch. September the 2nd, our meeting here at TCC. Skywatch on the 11th, Boardwalk Astronomy, the last one for the season on the 21st of September, and Saturday, Sunday on the 25th. October 2nd, we had our Skywatch. On October 7th, we had our meeting here at TCC. It was a preparation for International Observe the Moon Night, and I showed the slides, and we all became lunatics that night. And on the 15th, 16th, and 17th was International Observe the Moon Nights. We were out there 2 of those nights because Friday was good and Sunday was good, but Saturday was rainy. On the 26th, I gave a presentation to Cub Scout Pack 374. And we went out back behind their building and saw Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus. And that's in November 4th was our meeting here at TCC. We had elections, which has been already mentioned. Rich was re-elected treasurer, and Samantha Erb will be our new vice president starting next month. On the 5th and 6th, Jonathan Sheets and Dave Reed and I went out to James River State Park Star Party, about 4 hours from here, about 40 miles north of Lynchburg, and it was beautiful. First night was cold and clear, but we could see a lot of stars. Except for, I had 2 telescopes out there. I was showing the public, the campers, things through my little refractor. And when they were done, I went over to my reflector and I had 3 eyepieces in the tray and they were covered with frost. Couldn't use them at all. I had to put them away and use my 25mm eyepiece the rest of the night. It was cold. On the 12th of November, we had another nature bus excursion out to Cornland. On the 17th, we had a Carrollton Library Moon Night out in Carrollton, which was attended by Brian and I think Leanne and several other members, Sean. On the 18th and 19th, Mel Spruill and I defied the weather report and went out to Japoke's Plantation State Park after midnight sat through an hour's worth of rain, but then the clouds cleared and we saw the 98% partial lunar eclipse. It was awesome. It was really a good time. We're glad we went. And the 20th of November was Saturday, Sunday. We've always had good participation Saturday, Sunday. Always had 2 or 3, sometimes 4 telescopes. Sometimes we'll have 5 visitors. Sometimes we'll have 35 visitors. But it's really fun. And finally, on the 27th of November, Skywatch, and Sean was sick and I wasn't there, but Leanne and Brian and about another dozen people were there with telescopes, and I appreciate it. They had a good night. So that takes care of BBAA through the year for this past year. Any questions? Ben?
And in June, we presented Samantha Burgess the scholarship.
That's right. I didn't have that on there. At the meeting, scholarship was presented, and I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't have any input, but my granddaughter, Samantha, I think she earned it. She is really sharp.
Incredibly talented.
And she loves astronomy. Any other questions or comments? Well, I see my old clock on the wall.
Oh, Sean.
Uh-oh.
Sean's back.
Sean's back.
Oh,
The chipmunks are back. The chipmunks are back.
No, he's saying,
Connor,
look
Mickey Mouse.
look at the chat. He's got some stats up there.
Okay, let's look in the chat here. Here's the chat. BBA club members drove 3,685 miles and volunteered a total of 497 hours at club events during this past year. Thank you, club members. And all of those stats are accumulated to Night Sky Network, and we get credit for it. In fact, we get kits from Night Sky Network in NASA and the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, and we can use those kits for outreach. So there are no further comments or questions. It's 9 o'clock. It's a little 2 minutes after 9. Club meeting dismissed.
The recording, never see it? Right, the black stop button. No, the one right next to it. There's a pause button right there. That's it. So yeah.